guys, I'm going to hop on and show a quick video of how to do a really pretty bracelet using a unique beading thread. So the bracelets I'm holding here, they're all made with the same method, and they're all made with the same material, thread material. And the only difference really between the two of them is I use GemDuo on one and SuperDuo on the other. And I'll give you a closer look at these on the bead map, but I wanted to show really quick how I made them with monofilament. And so why monofilament? Well, a couple reasons. One is that it's kind of known for doing invisible suspension. You know, like you'll see this used in those designs where you don't see the cord, but like the beads just kind of pop, like they're just floating. So that's like the main thing I see people do with monofilament. But another cool thing you can do is bead weave with it. And so I tried it with a bunch of different things. I tried it with, you know, standard bead stitches, like I did, you know, like a SuperDuo rope. That's something that I'll probably do a separate video on that because that came out really cool as well. But I really loved it for the right angle weave because the way it makes the circular segments pop. And the reason it does that is because the thing about monofilament is it has this bounce back to it, right? It bounces back when you stitch with it. And so that's a pro and a con. So the pro there is that it makes all the circles that you make with your beads pop into a circle shape, essentially. It can reinforce it, and it's kind of thick, so it fills up the beads and it makes them look really cool. The other, you know, well, the downside about that is that, well, what's going to happen is even though you've got these really great like circle pops, see how that looks right there? It looks so good. It does tend to kind of come undone while you're stitching. So you have to reinforce, you have to lock in your stitches. But then you get the benefit of it being invisible, so you can't see it. So certain kinds of stitches where you have like step ups or thread will show, that's a really cool way to use something like this because it's invisible. So if you can solve the bounce problem and use it to your advantage, this becomes a really cool bead weaving thread. So I would say with a little bit of beading experience, give this a try. It is definitely a little bit like a little slightly leveled up challenge to bead weave with something like this, but the benefits make it worth it. And I'm going to show you some tricks for how to make it lock and make it look really cool. And then you have all the advantages of a completely invisible thread in your work. So let's pop onto the overhead camera, and I can show you more detail of these designs. So what you're seeing here on my mat is really beautiful cord. So it's just really fun to play with. And then of course the designs that I came up with. This is again the GemDuo version. And this one is the SuperDuo version. The SuperDuos look a little smaller next to what is shown here. This is a 4mm fire polish in both cases. Actually, all three cases. So 4mm fire polish with SuperDuo and 4mm fire polish with the GemDuos. And the colors you're seeing are actually my leftovers. I had a bunch of leftover tubes and I just took them all and dumped them into one tube. And so I will list what all of these colors are in the description, as well as the other materials I've used here, so you can see what they were if you like them. And I was especially excited about this one because of the way it just looks like silver. Isn't that cool? It's like the really coolest thing. So in the case of, let's see over here, I used these two. So this is it says jet full of vitriol with some green in it. And then this one is awesome. It is a purple rainbow color. And I didn't mention, but I've been using 11 seed beads in all these. And then last but not least, I had this really cool strand of 4mm fire polish. And this is what's left of my strand here. And that is, the color is, in this case, they're calling it something like Glittery or Argentic. And it's like it's a mixed strand, so it's got a lot going on. It's got a bunch of, I don't know, it's matte in some and shiny on others. Anyway, it's cool. I think this is one of my favorite things I've made in a while. Just really fun. And so what you see here I wanted to highlight is the way that I constructed this. The monofilament does show on the side of the SuperDuo. Same on the GemDuo. I'll show you that in a sec. But the cool thing is that you don't see it. It's there. If you look really, really close, you can see it. But it is kind of hidden. So that's why I thought, hey, this is cool. I'm going to do a video. Maybe folks will like this. Here it is on the GemDuo. You can see it a little more. But you see how it's like totally clear on there. Just kind of blends right in. Anyway, I thought that was neat. So here's how I did it. Let's push these aside for just a second. And I'm using these needles. So these needles are really cool. They are a short sharp. And what they are most used for is things like bead embroidery. I feel like it's just my opinion on that, but I feel like they're really good for bead embroidery. And the other really cool thing about a short sharp beading needle is that it has a larger, slightly larger eye because it's meant for putting things like floss in, you know. And so that's what I'm using here because it was really easy to thread. Having said that, it does kind of work with other stuff. So for example, if you would like to try like a size 11 beading needle, I have a feeling that'll work too. And what I might do before I publish this video is just go and experiment through and see everything I can get to work, needle size wise and brand and all that. And I just got out some chain nose pliers. And I'm going to do something here at the end. So you can see this is really small. And if you want to take a quick look, the size I'm using is the 0.008. So this is about the same size as, you know, a good beading thread, right? Like one of the ones that's more structured. So the end of it, I actually just kind of tried the same thing I do with beading thread and just kind of flattened it, right? So let's see what happens when I do that. And let's get one of these. I'm going to open this up. And it just goes right through. It's really cool. So slide it down a little bit. It's going to slide kind of easily off of your needle while you're working. So just for this part right here, just give it a bend. And I'm folding over about probably as much as 4 or 5 inches of that, just enough that I can reliably know that it's not going to slip while I'm stitching. And it will remember that little fold that you give it. So the needle should at least kind of want to stay in that spot. And as far as length, if you're doing like a 7 to 7.5 inch bracelet in the styles that I have here, you're going to want to do a wingspan. So about 60 inches. And I usually thread my needle first and then do my wingspan so that I'm not consuming some of that length when I do my threading. So let's do about yay long. And then I'm just going to trim this. Okay. And let's put on the thing to keep it from unraveling. And save that for next time. Okay, so I think for brightness and just ease of being able to see, I'm going to keep working with those turquoise fire polish. But I was having this thought earlier of like a bunch of other stuff that might work. And some of the things that might work in place of fire polish would be, you know, like, gosh, maybe like a 4mm crystal, a round crystal. I'm not sure if a bicone, because what would happen with a bicone is the table would hit each other like side by side, but I feel like a round bead would work, like a 4mm droog. And then there's no reason you can't try even like a larger bead. I don't know. I will branch out and experiment more. I was just so in love with this result that I kind of stuck with it. And I went, you know, stash diving for more 4mm fire polish. So I usually do when I get a design I'm happy with. So, but here's a bunch of just turquoise with a little bit of a sparkle to it. And I'm going to pull those out because they're just nice and bright, easy to see. So I got those. And for my seed beads, I think I'm going to work with another color of like just a little bit darker. And I'm going to do these off the mat here. But the color I'm working with is, and of course these will be in the description, all the part numbers. It's like a rainbow glazed, like an orange. I think it's called Fuchsia on our website, but it looks kind of more like a terracotta to me. So that's the color I've got there. And it is just off the camera here on a bead mat that you can't see. I noticed the camera stays a little nicer if I do like that. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to debate if I should show you GemDuo first or the SuperDuo. And I'm thinking I'll show you the SuperDuo first and then we'll do GemDuo. It's the same process, but kind of interesting to see. And so here's a color that will look really nice with that terracotta color. And here's my needle. Okay. And then one thing I didn't show yet that I should grab really quick is I've been starting with just the clasp like directly onto the monofilament. And you can do that if you want to. You can also try different types of clasps, but this is just what I was doing. Kind of worked for me. And so you'll want to pick up 3 seed beads. And again, these are size 11 seed beads. String on your clasp. String 3 more size 11. All right. Slide that down. Leave a tail that's about 10 inches long. We're going to need to use this tail later to reinforce and weave in. And the weaving in on this is going to be super important because it is actually going to try to just pop out. But watch what the circles do. The circles look really nice. So first I've got my SuperDuo here. I'm going to slide that down. So far what we have on here is 311.0, right to the clasp, 311.0, and then a SuperDuo bead. And you should be able to do this without a needle. If you need a needle, just thread a needle on this side. But just for this step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the other end of the monofilament. So this is the tail side. I'm just going to poke it through the SuperDuo. Same hole as I just strung, but I'm headed in the opposite direction so we get a circle. So just get that through there. And I'm just going to pinch that so I can keep my 10-inch tail around about like so. So that's what we're going for. And hold that and reinforce it. So let's take that needle side and we'll head through the seed beads. We'll head through the clasp again. Seed bead side. And back through the SuperDuo. And so everything's still kind of a little bit loose, but the cool thing about having placed the tail thread through the SuperDuo is now when I get to this spot, I can just tighten everything up one last time. And later I'm going to come back and I will thread a needle on this. And I'll go through this one more time and then I'll weave it in. But I'm going to do that when I have more up here to weave into. And so here's what we got so far. All right, so let's do a step up. And in a SuperDuo, you have 2 holes. Right now we've been working just in that bottom, the bottom hole there. We're going to do a step up into the hole that is above. So let's see here. Step up right through here. And pull tight. Okay. So that is step 1, all complete. I'm going to pick up 1 11.0 seed bead. And then 1 of the fire polish. 1 more 11.0. Then I need a SuperDuo. And we're going to do the same thing again, 11.0. Fire polish. And an 11.0. All right. And so take a quick look here. The monofilament's exiting right now from the this side right here. And I'm going to loop around and go through the side that the thread's not coming out. And I'll just pull tight there. And now I want to do something that really locks everything in. So let me show you really quick what that looks like. I'm currently exiting from the top hole of the SuperDuo right here. And watch what happens if we go through this one. So here's the bottom hole of that same SuperDuo. And then go right back through the top one. So we just made a little circle. You could call it step down, step up. And why do that? Well, it actually locks in the work that we did adding this segment. So we were here and we added the the SuperDuo, the 2, and then we know we could have gone all the way around it one more time, but this is just a little faster. And when you make these turns with the monofilament, it locks it. So yeah, you can see these little loops of monofilament on the side, but it's clear and it really doesn't detract from your design in any way. So it looks really nice. And so now what I'm going to do is travel. I'm going to go up through this one here, and then make a turn through here. All right. And so we'll do a step up. And let's string that pattern again. We'll string an 11-0. We'll string a SuperDuo. I'm sorry, an 11-0 and a fire polish. And 11-0. So that's the 11-0 fire polish, 11-0. Then the SuperDuo. And then just repeat that again. 11-0 fire polish, 11-0. All right, slide that all down. And what you have here is this nice little loop going right back through. You can see the monofilament's a little hard to see. I'm going to go real slow so you can see it. But see, it's coming out that side. I'm going to go through the side that it is not exiting. So we're making a circle. Just pull everything tight. And there's our next little segment. Here's the locking in step. And again, to do that, you just want to step down, meaning you want to go down through the other hole of the SuperDuo and see how everything's still, it's not tight yet. Once I do this, things get a lot better. So pull that through. Here we go. Back through here. And so let's just call that our lock step to make everything stay put. We'll come up through here, up through here, and up through here. Tight, and just keep that tail out of the way if it's in the way. Through the bottom hole of the SuperDuo, tight, and step up through the top hole. So I think a lot of different 2-hole beads are going to work with this concept. It's a really, tried and true thing to just kind of loop interesting, beautiful beads. Think gemstones, think like, little Czech glass beads, all those kind of things you can do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this to a good length, and then I'm going to show how to finish it. And then after that, we'll show a GemDuo recap to show how to turn this same concept into this using some little GemDuos. And then from there, I will post links and show everything that I used. All right. All right, so I've completed the almost full length. I've got one last segment to do on here. And so we'll just finish that one together. And once again, I'm picking up an 11-0 and a fire polish, and then an 11-0 bead. And then we'll put a SuperDuo. Slide that down. And then we just need one more 11-0, one more fire polish, and one last 11-0 there. All right. And so I'm going to do that same thing we've been doing. I'm going to go through the SuperDuo, through the opposite direction of the exiting thread there on that top hole. When you pull tight, you'll get this really cool pop. And then we're going to lock it in by making step down, step up. So going down through the bottom hole of the SuperDuo and then step up through the top. And then you'll see I've kind of continued through one 11-0 bead there just by accident. That's okay because I've headed that direction anyway. And keep going all the way up. And we're going to go through the SuperDuo. All right, let's do our step up here. And here's what I've got. All done. Down here we still have our tail to worry about, but we'll do that next. But here we're going to finish the top. And so to do that, I am going to be using a jump ring. So let me grab my jump rings really quick. And you're welcome to put a chain on here, or just, just anything. The way that I did it for my designs is I picked up 6 11-0 beads. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 beads. So there's just 6 11-0. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the jump ring on. And I already closed that jump ring. And then we're just gonna go ahead and do the same thing we did before when we were making each of the segments, right? We're just gonna loop around and go back through the SuperDuo. So just like that. And look at the way that pops. See, I mean, beading thread might do that after you reinforce it maybe 2-3 times, but the monofilament just does that like first step. I am gonna reinforce it just because, and I will go through it probably 2 times. And when you're doing this step, it's really gonna move on you. So just keep going. And every time it'll get a little tighter, and then we'll do a lock at the end. But right now it's loose, 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 see? So it just, if you have the confidence knowing it's gonna do that and just keep going, don't let it scare you, just keep going, you get this really cool result. So here's down through 1, 2, if I can get through 3 there, great. So this is my 3rd trip through those beads, and I'm gonna go right to the SuperDuo here. Okay, so reinforced 3 times, or strung and then reinforced twice, you could say. And there you go. And so this could be a chain, we could put more links on that, but for now I just put 1 jump ring. And now I'm going to weave in. So weaving in is really, it's the same thing you would do with most other bead weaving. Making turns is always good. We are going to do a 1/2 inch knot in a couple places. But right out the gate, I'm just going to do a step down through that SuperDuo. The reason I'm doing that is just to lock in what I've done over here. And then now that I'm here, let's head down through a segment. We can get through a segment here. Pop through this bead. This is the SuperDuo bead. And if it's at all tight on you, you can use chain nose pliers. Just be gentle. Make sure you're not going to break a bead. But I have a lot of passes in that one, so here's the step down. There we go. And so far so good, but with the monofilament, you know how usually we'll say with regular beading thread 3 turns is good and you can stop? With the monofilament, I double that. I probably will do this a total of 6 times down through the bracelet. So there's that. Here's a step down. So you see we're just doing the same thing. We're just going through the side beads, through the SuperDuo, stepping down through the other hole of the SuperDuo. And as you're doing that, just keep a look, make sure you're not skipping anything. It's really easy to do because you can't really see the monofilament, so you have to know where your needle's headed. And I think after this we'll do a knot. So that was here's number 6, I believe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, number 6. It's either 5 or 6, not sure. But got through the SuperDuo here. Okay. And let's head down through the next little segment. And right before I go through this next SuperDuo, I'm going to go ahead and do a 1/2 inch knot. And a good spot to do that is in front of either an 11-0 or the SuperDuo itself, because the internal hole diameter of all these beads, the smallest will be your SuperDuo, then the 11-0 bead, and then the fire polish. So it kind of makes sense to get a knot somewhere where it won't slip backwards, right? Or forwards. So take your needle and bring it underneath the strand that is going, basically the strand that's going from this 11-0 into the SuperDuo, right? So here, let's pick that up. Hook it like that. And then just kind of hold everything in place with your thumb and your finger. And right before that loop closes, bring your needle back through it. And do that one more time. Make sure it's nice and tight. And then just do it once more. In the same spot. Make sure your thread doesn't jump over your bead. And just keeping it in that same spot. Okay, and I'm going to go through the SuperDuo. And once I'm through the SuperDuo, I'm going to pull tight again. And let's watch that knot just kind of snuggle in. So you see we're right here, we just went through, and the knot is still there, but it's just kind of snuggled in. And when you're wearing this bracelet, that knot is not going to be visible. I'm going to do that knot one more time on the other side of the SuperDuo here. So now I'm catching the thread that is coming out of the SuperDuo and going into the 11-0. So right there. Picking up the loop and making sure that I make it nice and tight. Picking up that same spot again, so we're just kind of knotting over our knot, right? Back through the loop and pull tight. Now let's head back up here. And so we essentially have knots on both sides of that SuperDuo. I'm going to go back through this one. Maybe back up through here. And now I'm going to trim it. Okay. So there's that end. Here's our beautiful bracelet. It came out really nice. I don't even know where that knot is. If I study and try to find it, can't find it. And that's it. That's pretty much the whole process. I still have some work to do on this side. I need to take this tail and do the same thing that I just showed you. I need to step up through this bead and then maybe do some weaving around and then do a little hitch knots there and trim it. And so, but that's in a nutshell how to finish one of these really cool bracelets. And so I promised I would show how to do it with a GemDuo. And so I have a little thread left here. Let's see how much I got. Not much, but just enough to kind of show you the same process. So let's get the GemDuos out. Let's move those SuperDuos out of the way. The instructions to do this are the same as what we did at the beginning of this video, where we cut about well, I threaded the needle first, and then I cut a wingspan. So you end up with a folded over, 5 to 7 inch segment, and then you measure an additional 60 inches. And so that will leave you with lots of extra to get your weaving in done. And then if anyone wants to know lengthwise, just like the counts and stuff like that. So I've been doing 16 segments when I work with SuperDuo. 16 segments is about, let me get you a measurement really quick. 7 inches, all said and done, finished. And you could put a chain on that, make it extend it more. And so with that, leaving this, about, this looks more like a 9-inch tail, maybe even 8. But that all the thread I have left from that activity is here. Let me show you right here. So that is including the part where I bent over the needle. Not a lot, right? So that used most of that 60 inches that I cut in the beginning. So that's a good measure. 60 inches after you've done your needle thread and fold over, or you could just say 70 inches if you haven't threaded your needle yet. So that's a pretty good measure for length. And let's see, I'm going to still use the same colors that I've got here just because it will be easy to see. And I might use, what did I use here? I use these colors, so we'll just stick with these colors so you can see everything that I've got going on in this design. Same process to start it. You want to start with 3 seed beads and you'll need your clasp. And here's my lobster claw. Here's 1, 2, 3 seed beads. And then just going through the clasp. And then I'm going to get 3 more seed beads on there. Okay. And leave a good tail. I don't have a lot of thread going here, but you're much better, you know, with a longer one. But then go through your GemDuo. So the GemDuo, the only tricky part of using the GemDuo is they have a dome side and they have a flat side. And you want to just be cognizant as you're stringing each one that you are headed in the same direction through the clasps, or sorry, through the holes, so that your dome side is the same side on all. So on this one, I was just really careful that my dome side stayed this side and my flat sides stayed on the. And the way to do that really is to work with it laid out flat on your mat. Bring that bead over to meet your work in the direction you're about to string it. And then just travel through. Let's get back through these 3 seed beads, clasp, through those 3 seed beads again. So see, I just went through everything. And I'm going to hold everything tight and pull that through. And then go back through the GemDuo. All right, and I will need to take my tail, and you should be able to do this without a needle, but feel free to thread it if you need to. We'll have to do that at the end anyway, you know, for weaving in. But if you want to just get going, you can get it through without a needle here. And there's our start. And just go ahead and hold on to that. Reinforce the loop by going back through all the beads and the clasp one time. So let's go 1, and kind of caught that 11-0 there too. Finish that trip through there. And it just pops. That's the cool thing about the monofilament. It just goes boop. And that's only with 2 passes. When we weave in the thread here, it reinforces that one more time and you get a really nice pop there. Okay, so same thing we were doing on the SuperDuo, which is going to be a lot more pronounced right now with the GemDuo, is to just do that jump. Because this is, again, a 2-hole bead. And so you will see that thread on the side. But it's clear, so just kind of blends right in. It really blends in on the ones that are this kind of finish, the transparent finish. You don't even see it. We'll do that next. Okay, I need 2 of these fire polish beads, and then I need to do the same thing we did before. 11-0 fire polish, and an 11-0. Okay, and then I'm going to lay it like this and just look. So I've got my 11-0, I've got my fire polish, my 11-0, bringing on the next bead. Let's choose this one here. That's the back side, right? Because it's wobbly. Let's get it on the dome side, because this is the dome side here. And just line those up like that, so I know I want to go through that way. And then we'll get the 11-0 fire polish, 11-0. And go back through it. So there you go. And then the lock that we did for the SuperDuo version, it's the same on this one. Just gonna make sure my tail's not getting in the way there. So there's the step down, step up, and that locks this connection here. And you just want to travel through those beads, through the GemDuo. And then you just want to make a jump, step up. And from here, would repeat. 11-0 fire polish, 11-0 coming out of there. Pick another GemDuo, go through the bottom hole, making sure dome side is up. 11-0 fire polish, 11-0, and then back through. Back through this same hole you're exiting here. And once you've done that, you do that little loop around step up and you get the same result that we have for the SuperDuo version. And this version is really pretty. And it disappears a lot more. The monofilament disappears a lot more on the side of these transparent ones. Like it's just not even there. You see it a little more on the mat, so just something to be cognizant of, but it does not distract so much, it just looks really good. The process for adding thread, if you wanted to make something longer, is the same as the process I showed for finishing it. You would do that to bring in the new strand, right? You would weave around, do some of those half-hitch knots, and then start working with the new thread. Take that old thread and bring it up into the new work that you created the same way, and you'll get a really cool result. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Again, the monofilament I'm working with is the 0.008. And so this is the smallest one. And then I also was using short, sharp beading needles. So this is the one that I thought was just the easiest to get threaded. I believe there will be others that'll work too. But this is the one I've tested for this tutorial. It is a size 10. Short, sharp. Links to everything here will be in the description. Links to the colors, if you like these colors, will be in the description. I'll try to find some places where these are sold. And of course, all the colors for all my designs that I used in these samples. I'll include everything I have in the way of that as well. So be sure to check that. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next beading video. Happy beading, everyone.